Hello, it's Wednesday. Update time. First order of business. A winner has been chosen for this Goliath Ganger in my Patreon giveaway for September. I'm not doing a giveaway every single month. It's just that I was going to be a video behind, so I decided to do a giveaway of this guy. And he will be winging his way to the winner probably tomorrow, because I can't get to the post office before it closes today. But yes, this model has now been won. The winner has been notified and they have accepted the prize, and it'll be on their way to them soon. So secondly, yeah, I painted a bunch of stuff. Nighthaunt came out, so if you were around on Saturday, then you may have caught my Nighthaunt live stream where I airbrushed these colours onto the Nighthaunts. I managed to get the Briar Queen on camera for the good footage for the tutorial that will eventually happen of this, but this is pretty much all I'm doing on these guys for a few weeks, because it's October and I'm doing October content at the moment. I'm going to be working on a boys video for that first, so these tutorials probably won't happen until November, which will actually just give me plenty of time to get them painted. But I'm going to do the Nighthaunts one first because they're by far and away the most popular one on the Patreon poll that's up at the moment. If you want to go and vote on that, there's a link in the doobly-doo to the Patreon. All patrons have access to all patrons have voting rights from $1 to $50. Doesn't matter how much you pledge, you get to vote. So yeah, started on the Nighthaunts. Probably won't finish them for a few weeks yet. So this might be the last you see of them on Work in Progress Wednesdays for a bit. And most of my weekend was spent painting tanks for my Imperial Guard army, which I'm selling. So these guys, I've got 3 of them, plus a Cyclops demolition vehicle. Last time you saw them, I had 2 that were fully weathered, and this one was waiting for its enamel washes. Those are all complete now, and I've sprayed in the tracks to give them a dry brush, sprayed the hull mounted weapons with some black, given those a dry brush, muzzle scorch, that's in, that's done. Actually no, it wasn't this one. This is the one. I have difficulty telling the difference. This one's got numbers on, this one doesn't have numbers on. This was the one that wasn't fully weathered before, now it is. Less weathered than the other 2. My headcanon, this is the newer tank. But yes, weapons, tracks, done. Metallic parts, done. I've only done these to tabletop quality, or what I consider tabletop quality, because the entire army was just done to tabletop quality. And it would take me weeks, months even, to paint, to get the entire army up to scratch, and yeah, that's not going to happen. As in, like, up to my current standard of how I would paint a tank. Also, I'd probably have to strip them all and repaint them to do that, so I'm not going to do that. The lenses on the hatches and the periscopes and all the laser effects are done. The only things left is picking out a couple of little details. I don't think there's anything particularly needs it on this one. No, I need to put some dust pigments around the bottom of the tracks. Dirt and mud, because all the other tanks have it. Again, it's just getting up to parity with the other tanks. And then seal them with a nice matte coat, and then they're basically done. This one has a little bit more to do on it, as I've got the sandbags still to paint, which won't take long. It's basically going to be a base coat, a wash, and then a highlight. Probably just a dry brushed highlight. And a lot more dust and such is going to go up on the dozer blade. But otherwise, yeah, they're basically done. Tabletop ready. Just like the rest of the army. Because I also assembled these like 3 to 4 years ago now. And when I was painting them I could really tell I wasn't as good at assembling models. Like there are some areas which are slightly off, which these days I wouldn't do. That's quite annoying. Also, the old Forge World bits, I can tell why they discontinued this stuff, because it was already starting to be pretty badly cast when I got hold of them, which was towards the end of their life. So, yeah, I'm actually like, yeah, there's the pictures that you saw on the Forge World website were nothing like what the cast you got from them. So I can totally understand why these ablated armors, reinforced armors, and the track guards all went away. I had to do so much reshaping to get these to fit on a Chimera. It was ridiculous, and it's still a bit warped in places. Same with the Cyclops demolition vehicle, actually. It's not a great cast. None of them are, actually, that I've got. I've got 3 of them in this army. Not a single one of them is actually a particularly great cast. I put the last finishing details, so painted the tracks on this. Painted some of the metallic areas that need it. Painted that wire red for spot colour. Painted the lenses and laser sight finders on this. And slapped a couple of number 3 decals on it, because it is the number 3 in the little squadron of 3. And I just need to get a matte coat on this, because you can probably see it's still quite shiny. But it's all nice and flat. So I just need to get a matte coat of varnish over that decal on this tank. And this guy's good to go. Also, here is a Sentinel. I told you I did a lot. This was a case of painting the rubber hose, just these small details, painting the rubber hoses, painting the exhaust stacks and the radiator, because, you know, they get hot, all the paint has burnt off and they've been exposed to the elements, so they've started to rust and also get soot on. Because the Imperium doesn't burn clean, apparently. They don't care about carbon emissions. Not when them Zorks about. And the weapons are magnetized, but I only actually have the missile launchers now. Everything else got sacrificed to some kind of conversion in the past, because, like I said, I've been sitting on these Sentinels for these Sentinels actually about 6 years since I built these, because they were previously for a different army. I stripped them and then I repainted them for this army. And since then, I've lost the autocannons and I've only got missile launchers. So, you know, you can tilt them up and down. And back when Weapon Destroyed was a thing, that was quite useful. But yeah, so got some dirt around the feet, pistons all painted up and washed, rubber hose is done, exhaust stacks mostly done, radiators done, again tabletop quality. And the other 2, for there was a squadron of 3, I've basically done all of that, and I managed to get some Valhalla and Blizzard on their bases as well. I'm waiting for another pot of that drawer, because I've almost run out of this stuff. I've not got enough to do this guy's base back here, so I'm waiting for some of that to arrive at my local game store, which should arrive in the next couple of days, really. And I can go pick it up, and I can finish the base on the other one, get some crushed glass and some water effect on these bases. And I don't think I need to get any pigments around their feet, because I think there's enough with the spray from the airbrush that I did. Did some dead simple OSL effects on the lamps, because it was weird when I looked at these. There's a little bit of overspray there that I might clean up. When I looked at these casts, I was like, these don't have any details on the insides here at all, and the surfaces don't even have any like lip. So I was like, I'm not even sure what these are supposed to be, so I just painted them as like searchlights. Same on this one over here, but this one actually does have a searchlight on it. So yeah, I wasn't exactly sure what they were going for with those, or what their supposed to be, but this Sentinel kit's from like 2008 or something, maybe even older than that, or 2009. I can't remember. It's not a recent kit. It's quite an old one, and it was based on an even older kit than that, which didn't have posable legs, but this bit was all the same. So this Sentinel kit actually goes back a ridiculously long way, long before Games Workshop were known for the level of quality that they are currently known for. And it shows. You know, I don't really want to build any more Sentinels again in the future because it's kind of a gross kit, really. I would much prefer nicer kits as well. So that's mostly finished. 3 Chimeras, the 3 Sentinels, and the Cyclops Demolition Vehicle, which was like the bulk of the army that was left to paint, mostly done. I've only got the 2 characters left to paint, and I started on this Primaris Psyker. Zoom in a bit. I started on this Primaris Psyker on a patrons only live stream yesterday. So I've just done a few blends on his coat, try and get some basic shadows down. My light source is over here, pointing this way. He's being backlit, which will be interesting to try and recreate from the front. I think I need to lighten up the leather a little bit on the more exposed surfaces. So for example on this area here, just needs a little bit lighter down that fold. This end, tops of the arms, and on the elbows for example, just needs to be just a smidge lighter than I've currently got it to really sell the effect. But then the rest of it is actually relatively simple. Like the coat is the bulk of this model and it's probably the hardest part to paint. The rest of it is really simple. And the rest of it is really simple, and indeed with the Zenithal Prime that I did on it, should go through relatively quick. I'll probably only spend about another 2 to 3 hours on him. And he should be finished, but I don't have time to do that today. And that is it. The basing tutorial for the Fast Riders with the autumn mossy bases, that will be going up. Oops, zoom out a bit. That will be going up on Friday afternoon, GMT. So it'll be in the morning for the Americans watching. But again, if you want to see that now, you can go on my Patreon and check that out. I'm currently working on an Ork Kill Team project video, so this is like a full 12 models. Actually, I'll go and get one of the other models. Jump cut. Yes, and I will zoom in. So this is an Ork knob that I painted a long time ago, about 2 years ago. No. It was probably a year ago actually. It was shortly after I painted my Flash Gits unit that's got a video on this channel. So I painted this guy, and at the time I was going for an all freebooters thing, and this guy was like not freebooterish at all, so I painted him up as a kind of goth, generic orc look. A little bit of a goth because it's mostly black, but in my head he's actually kind of would also be perfectly at home in an Evil Sun's force, because in my brain Evil Suns don't tend to wear red clothing. They'll wear whatever they got access to, but they'll paint their vehicles red. So the most discerning important thing is that on an Evil Sun's army all the vehicles are red, and the colour of the boys doesn't really matter that much. Like they'll put red details on them, like if they've got a bit of scrap shoulder armour they might paint that red. But for me the telltale features of Evil Suns are, for some reason, goggles. I really like goggles on my Evil Suns, and I'm not sure why. But yeah, I painted this guy about a year ago, and he's not really had a place in my Ork army, because I haven't actually built finished building all of my Ork boys yet, and well, there hasn't been a codex and I don't play, so I haven't really bothered with my troops choices. I've been doing the models that I find interesting, which is usually the vehicles. So yeah, this guy's going to be the boss knob in the kill team, and he's already painted, so he's setting the style for the kill team. And the winners of the patron poll for Orktober, I will just get the results, hang on, just to make sure they didn't change at the last minute. Oh! It did change at the last minute. So the winner... Here we go. The winner for the Patreon poll actually turned out to be Bad Moon Boy. I personally voted for Evil Sun's Boy. But Bad Moon Boy is perfectly fine as well, because that's just some yellow. And I can just do one extra boy as a Bad Moon. Which is actually pretty good, because that's very similar to what I've done for past Ork tutorials. The Flash Gits are Bad Moons. And that's basically all yellow and purple, so I know exactly what I'm doing with that. And the vehicle is going to be painted as a Blood Axe vehicle. So I'm going to be taking one of the buggies from Speed Freaks, and I'll be painting that up as a Blood Axe vehicle. And no, it won't be purple. That is something the internet made up. It's not lore friendly. I fully expect the comments now to be filled with people shouting, "Have you ever seen a purple orc?" And I have, so they're not that sneaky. But yes, I believe my Bad Moons would actually use actual camo, because they copy everything from the Imperial Guard, and they copy it from the Planetary Defence Force that's on the planet they're on, so it would match the planet they're on. Or they nick it. Or they looted it from other Imperial things. Either way, it's going to be in an actual camo scheme, not just purple. So yeah, there'll be a Blood Axe vehicle and there'll be a Bad Moons Boy. But this guy's setting the colour scheme for my kill team, which is, again, relatively generic. It's like, not specifically any one clan, really. Like, you could argue that they're goths, but again, not all orcs daub themselves in the colours of their clan constantly. Death Skulls are kind of an exception, because they pretty much always cover their bodies in blue war paint. Yeah, so this guy's setting the standard for the rest of the kill team, and it didn't actually take that long to paint him, because all the skin was done by airbrush. Painting the weapons black with a little bit of weathering is actually quite easy. I think the most time-consuming thing on this guy was the leather pants, and only he is getting leather pants. Everyone else is just getting regular pants, but because he's the boss, he gets to have the leather pants and the nice pants. And I was going for a denim look on the waistcoat here, which I'll try and follow through. That's not particularly hard colour scheme to copy. And these checks are just decals that I've sponged over. So again, not a particularly hard paint job to pull off this one. And the other model will be this guy, who's the actual leader of the Ork Warband. And he's just a grot, a Forge World one from the Forge World grot crew. The grot guns, of which I've got far more than I actually need for my big guns that I've got. So this guy, because he looked the most leaderly with his whatever this is, don't know what this is supposed to be, and he's got goggles, which is going to be a theme throughout the warband. A lot of the orcs in the kill team have goggles on, so there's a lot of goggles going on, and he's got a little pack that's got the plan in it and other equipment. So yeah, he was the most leaderly looking of all the grots I had, because from what I can tell in kill team, it doesn't pay to actually have your leader be someone you're going to go and put out in harm's way. This guy's going to sit behind a piece of cover out of line of sight, and he's so small that you won't actually be able to see him for most of the time. Like, you literally have to get all the way around so that you can see him, because you poke him, you stick him behind a bit of low cover, he's gone. You can't see him from the other side, so you can't shoot at him. So yeah, that's the actual leader. And the rest of the guys are currently on corks, all cleaned up, waiting to be primed. I managed to get 12 orc models onto four corks with some imaginative methods. It's all the orc heads on one cork. So goggles, gas mask counts as goggles, sunglasses counts as goggles, actual goggles counts as goggles, more goggles. You can see how goggles are a thing in this warband. And I've also got a custom Mega Blaster boy whose spanner, whose thing fell off. Top of his boss ball came off, so I put a new one on there from Freebooters. And built myself a rocket launcher boy. And there's another gunner with a thing. I've got looter in there. There's like a burner, a looter, 2 gunners, I think 3 boys, a single commando, the boss snob, and 3 grots in total, I think is the rough list. And it comes out, I think, spot on 100 points. So yeah, I'm working on that. This is like a full, zoom out. This right here is like a full month-long project for me. You won't see the end of this until towards the end of October. But I'll be painting them over the next few weeks, which is why I needed to get this done. Because these were just sitting on my head as being like, I need to get this done. So this is almost done now. Just the 2 characters to go. And they're not going to take particularly long again because it's just tabletop level paint jobs. I mean, I always do characters slightly higher than everything else in the army for tabletop. But it's an army rather than a display project. It's for playing games with. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep. Don't think I painted anything else. Ooh, that's stuck to that. Also, double-sided sticky tape on a copy stirrer makes a great way to hold orc arms for priming. Top tip there. You'll see that in the project video when I do this. I recorded all of the cleaning for these orcs to find out how long it takes me to clean it. It took me over 2 hours to clean all of these orcs. That's just 12 orcs, 2 hours to do 12 orcs. That's 120 minutes, that's 10 minutes an orc basically, right? So that's it. Yeah. I'm gonna try and get the Orc Boys video, painting an Orc Boys video up. Ooh, let's say probably by this time next week. I'm gonna hope to have the Bad Moon's Orc Boy video up on Patreon, because it's not gonna be a long paint job. It's gonna be a relatively quick one, because who wants to paint like all of their Orc Boys to an amazing standard? It's going to be a video that is focused on getting it done quickly, but to a good standard. Rather than painting the most gorgeous orc in the world. Because let's face it, if you've got an orc army, you're probably going to need about 90 Orc Boys in order to be able to field it. So the video is focused on using an airbrush. The video is focused on using an airbrush and washes in order to get your Orc Boys done fast, but also looking good. So it's going to be paint it in sub-assemblies, airbrush everything, do washes, and then highlight, and that's pretty much it. Painting in sub-assemblies is really important, because orcs are actually really, really good at painting in sub-assemblies. Anyway, I've rambled enough. Yes. Subscribe there, Orktober content. That's all this month. Patrons will get it a week before everyone else. Well, $5 patrons will get it a week before everyone else. And yeah, the Patreon thing's there. There's another video you can watch there. My social medias are there where you can @me, comment. So there you go. Bye.